May I tell you a story, my friend? This is the story of a Russian count who decided to write a novel against women because he despised his own wife. The heroine of his novel leaves her husband and her son for a nobody, and in doing so destroys the lives of the good husband, the lovely son, and the sweet nobody. Our count started to describe this woman as short, thick, ugly beyond words. He wrote and wrote, but a strange thing happened in the process. The husband and the lover became mean and petty. Even the son stopped being so lovely. But the woman became beautiful, profound, and a victim. The count even changed the title of the story. He gave it the name of this woman, Anna. But you know what title he intended to give it when he began the book? The Devil. It was with this story about how Tolstoy wrote Anna Karenina that Polish filmmaker Andrzej Żuławski planned to open Possession. Possession is a film about divisions, both personal and political. It's the collision of independent European cinema and Hollywood special effects. It features one of the most startling performances in the history of cinema. Released in 1981, Possession was received primarily as a horror film. This film is about what gave birth to that horror. In 1978, 2 months before the end of shooting, the Polish Deputy Minister of Culture, Janusz Wilhelmi, halted the shooting of The Silver Globe. It was the most expensive Polish film ever to go into production. This was not Żuławski's first conflict with the communist authorities. His 1972 film, The Devil, was banned on account of its blasphemous imagery. Ostensibly a work of science fiction, the Polish authorities suspected that The Silver Globe was not all that it seemed.
There is this fantastic Latin saying, larvatus prodeo, I advance under a mask, hidden behind a mask. So we were hiding behind masks. And this so-called science fiction form was a mask, but it's an interesting mask in itself. It's a mask which gave cinema many masterpieces. Possession was a film which I thought of in this moment between this stopping of Silver Globe and my going away. It was 6 or 7 months' time.
While the scandal of the Silver Globe wrecked Żuławski's directing career in Poland, the script of Possession was rooted in a crisis of a more personal nature. In 1970, Żuławski cast the Polish actress Małgorzata Branek in his debut film, The Third Part of the Night. After shooting, Żuławski married Branek, who gave birth to his son, Xavery, in 1971.
Simple base of the film was my private life, which just exploded. Not only the film, the science fiction film was stopped, but I had no home, no family. My wife, the mother of my son, went away with a guy like Heinrich. Heinrich is maybe more intelligent, but Anna is probably more intelligent than my ex-wife, who's a better person, by the way. But so this total disruption, this chaos, this thing which happened to in a very banal situation, which is a couple which breaks, okay, was as strong as a motivation to understand as all the things we were discussing up to now. As I had some friends in the United States, they sent me an invitation, which was totally a fabrication, absolutely none true, that I had urgent work on a film to do in New York, with dollars, with money. So they took the dollars, they gave me the passport. Don't forget, we didn't even had passports at home with us at that time. So I went.
Possession was to be Żuławski's first and to date only film to be shot in English. The shooting script was written in collaboration with the American writer and novelist Frederick Tutton. In addition to writing about art and film, Tutton had published a novel, The Adventures of Mao on the Long March.
I got a call from Danielle Thompson. Do you know who that is? Danielle Thompson is a screenwriter and a film director. Now she's very famous. I think probably in the early days, well, in the very early days, she was a scriptwriter for her father, Georges Uri. Anyway, Zulawski approached her and asked if she would work with him on a film. Because his English was very good to speak English, but I think the writing was a problem, may have been a problem for him. And she said, let me see what you've got. He sent her something, which is about 20 pages long. She said, I like it very much, but it's not my kind of material. It's just not my stuff. Because, you know, it's, if you read the outline, I wish I had a copy of it. She said, it's not for me, Andrzej, but I know someone in New York who would probably like it and be interested in doing it. So they sent me the thing, I read it, and I loved it. Right away, I knew it right away that it had something extraordinary about it. And I said, yes, I'd love to meet him, I'd love to work with him. He came to New York to meet me. I remember very well, it was a rainy, rainy day, to be graphic about it, and I was wearing, because I'm very hypochondriac, big rubber shoes, big galoshes, in this rainy, rainy day with an umbrella and a raincoat. And I got to the room, he opened the door, looked at me, and he gave me a sort of up and down look. And later he told me, he said, I decided I liked you right away because you didn't look like a slick Hollywood writer.
Żuławski and Totten started work on the script, first in New York and later France.
Here's how it works. Get up in the morning, either you have breakfast with him. We were sometimes worked in Fontenay-sous-Bois, his house in the country. But wherever you work, sometimes you work with me in my place and in Paris. You get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, or you meet after breakfast. He's thoroughly prepared. Thoroughly. He knows everything he has in his mind. It's been thought about. And we sit and we work. What he would do, I had a typewriter, and I would sort of type things, and he would say things, I would type things, I'd say things, and we'd fight a little bit about this. Once, I think he called me an idiot, but then he took it back. I don't think he actually got it. He started to mouth the words, but then he took it back. We never had a quarrel, ever, 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 which was wonderful. We had fun. We enjoyed working together. I know I did. I don't know what he would say now, but I know I had great pleasure in working with him, and I had great pleasure in the correctness of it, in his complete professionalism. That was extraordinary. Whatever happened, whatever things went on in the course of the day, we got to work, and we worked.
The American actor, Sam Waterston, had expressed his interest in the script. Pierre Caro, who was producing the film, arranged a screening of Żuławski's films in Paris.
We saw the films for the first time. I had never seen his films before, and they set up a screening for La Potence de Mai and for The Third Part of the Night. I think there were two films we saw, and Sam and I were sitting in that screening room. When we came out, we were just flabbergasted. It was an incredible experience to see those films. It was really powerful. I mean, I liked Andrzej. I already thought he was so intelligent, so extraordinary. But when I saw the films, I realized, my God, this is really incredible. This is really incredible, fresh, powerful cinema. So I was very moved by it. And Sam, I think, wanted to do the role.
Then one day, while Żuławski was at the Gramercy Park Hotel in New York, he received a phone call from his producer informing him that there was no money left to pay the hotel bill.
The first producer disappeared, literally disappeared, with debts. He couldn't pay for the Hotel Raphael bill, and I got letters from the Hotel Raphael, although, it was blah, blah, blah. Could you please reimburse us? I wasn't legally bound to do it, but Sam had money and he paid them. But the guy disappeared. He's a sweetheart. It was a sweet, dreamy man who wanted to make films. I don't know where he had the initial money from where, but, for the seed money for the script. But then he literally, truly disappeared. The last time I saw him, we were at the Brasserie Lip, and he asked if he could borrow 500 francs. He said, he's taking me to lunch. Do you have any money, Frederick? I said, well, I have a couple. You have 500 francs? And then I knew it was over. That was the end of that.
In New York, Żuławski pitched Possession to Charlie Bluhdorn, then the owner of Paramount, as a film about a woman who fucks an octopus. While Paramount passed, Żuławski found a new producer back in Paris, Marie-Laure Reyra.
She was wonderful because she was very honorable. She said, I know that Pierre owes you money from the project that he didn't pay, and I'll be very happy to take up the slack. And she didn't have to. But that was great of her. And so then we started again.
With the script complete and financing in place, Żuławski was now ready to cast his film.
Le casting a été, ça a été assez compliqué parce que tout de suite, Andrzej et moi avons pensé à Isabelle Adjani qui avait fait 2 ans plus tôt Barocco et, nous l'avons contactée. Elle était chez Art Media, je le dis, elle était chez Art Media. Nous avons donc contacté le directeur de l'époque qui était les Bovici. Et les Bovici nous a dit non, c'est pas pour Isabelle, c'est pas possible, etc. Bon, alors nous sommes, comme Cannes arrivait, nous étions à Cannes, au Festival de Cannes, nous avons vu un film je sais plus quel était le metteur en scène, mais c'était un metteur en scène néo-zélandais qui avait tourné un film avec Judy Davis. Judy Davis, actrice australienne, et que nous avons rencontré à Cannes, qui venait son film était My Brilliant Career, qui est un film que j'ai, et Andrzej aussi, beaucoup aimé. Malheureusement, en France, je crois qu'on a été les deux seuls à vraiment beaucoup l'aimer, parce que le film n'a pas fait du tout de carrière ici. En revanche, il a bien marché aux États-Unis. Et donc, nous avons approché Judy Davis. Bon, ça, c'était pour l'actrice. Et puis, le temps a passé. Il fallait trouver l'homme. Je crois que très vite, comme on avait vu My Brilliant Career, Sam Neill s'est imposé parce qu'il jouait dans My Brilliant Career. Et puis, donc Sam Neill nous a dit oui. Judy Davis, c'était un petit peu plus compliqué. Et il fallait chercher un opérateur, un chef opérateur français. Et Andrzej a souhaité rencontrer Bruno Nuiten, qui, quand il a lu le scénario, a immédiatement dit « Mais c'est un rôle pour Isabelle Adjani ». Et on lui a dit oui, mais elle a refusé. Et deuxième tentative, et Isabelle, dans les 3 jours, nous a dit oui.
In the history of Polish film, the 1970s is remembered as the decade of the cinema of moral concern. These films claim to deal with the ethical problems facing people living in communist Poland. With Possession, Żuławski too wrestled with the problem of evil in communist reality, but in a very different way compared to his colleagues.
I come from a place where evil seems easier to pinpoint because you can see it in the flesh.
Evil for us in the communist countries had a very material face. You could pinpoint it. You could say, "Oh, this is evil. This system is evil. This whole the layers of fiction, lying, this ideology which is the contrary of its realization, which is this is evil." But then, how come that it visits this young woman who's not evil? Does it visits us all? Do we nurture it in us, or is it from outside and plunging into us and changing us? That could be a question. And when I wrote the script, I thought that I really would love to make the film the closest possible to this part of the world in which the film was invented, which is the communist side of the world, and Berlin seemed really the right place, being surrounded by this wall and this communist empire all around. To start the film with the wall and the crosses where people were killed, to have this entrenched psychology of people surrounded by evil, and finally evil warms up into their universe, is a political statement. I wasn't shooting the beautiful TV tower of East Berlin, I was shooting the wall. And for reasons not of exotic background, but for reasons of profound necessity for this story to unravel. to be, to exist again.
The wall is a very important aspect of this film. Seeing across the wall, seeing the guards, knowing that the character has been across the wall and has come back. So it's all, I mean, the principal character, the Sam Neill character. So you had to have that. Because I think underneath this film, all the other aspects of it, the love story of it, the obsession of it, the passion of it, there's a political dimension there. And of course, as Andrzej is a Pole living under the regime he lived under, understanding what was going on in the East. We actually spent the day together with the first director. We went across into East Berlin one day just to get a feeling of it. And I got to say, put it this way, I came in as a leftist and I came out as a moderate. To see people lining up, a line, and then you'd see a hole in the wall in a building, and they were waiting for an ice cream cone, one scoop. Took your heart away. So a lot of that business of Berlin and the East and the Sovietization of Poland was all implicit, I think, in that film. And subtly, I hope subtly so.
Et nous allions près du mur, parce qu'en fait, tout le film a été tourné à Kreuzberg, qui était le quartier turc de Berlin. Et ce quartier turc, nous avons investi un ou deux immeubles où les familles turques ont été relogées ailleurs. Et nous avons, à ce moment-là, travaillé dans ces décors comme si nous étions en studio, en fait. Mais comment dirais-je, les fenêtres donnaient sur le mur. Nous étions à 5 mètres du mur. Et c'était assez étrange, parce que juste derrière, il y avait les barbelés et les Vaupeaux qui étaient avec des jumelles à regarder ce qui se passait chez nous. Et heureusement, encore une fois, que nous étions sous la houlette du Sénat de Berlin.
West Berlin was interesting for me only because of its proximity to the vicious world behind the wall. It was the only reason. All the rest was normal. Cafes, young people, Marxist discussions in the Einstein Cafe, whatever. It was normal. It was Western Europe. It was the world. But this in fact this huge no man's land, which started behind the wall and stopped at Kamchatka, like 10,000 kilometers farther east, was there physically, and that's the thing which makes the film walk.
Berlin, as depicted in Possession, is a collision of the brash design and neon lighting of the West with grey, desolate urban decay. Mark's apartment on Vinetterplatz on Bernauer und Wallinerstrasse makes a violent contrast to the Turkish district of Kreuzberg.
I got my wife's address. It's in Kreuzberg, Sebastianstrasse 87, first floor.
The wall seen from Sebastianstrasse is the subject of Die Mauer, a portfolio produced by Enki Bilal in 1982, for which Żuławski and actor Bruno Ganz provided the preface. Today, on Sebastianstrasse, the wall is conspicuous by its absence. The budget for Possession was set at $2.4 million, and a 12-week shoot was scheduled. Shooting began in West Berlin on July the 7th, 1980. Bruno Nuiten was the cinematographer. Operating the camera was Andrzej Żuławski, with whom Żuławski had worked on both The Devil and The Silver Globe.
Bruno zrobił bardzo dobre światło. Dlaczego dobre? Tego światła nie widać. Tego światła nie widać, tego światła nie czuje się jako elementu sztucznego. To jest coś, co istnieje. Tak myśmy się starali, żeby w tej mrocznej historii opowiadanej, dziwnej historii, wszystko było właściwie normalne. Tak samo to światło było bardzo, bardzo normalne, takie, które nie jest widoczne.
Like Żuławski's previous films, Possession was shot using predominantly wide-angle lenses.
Trudność dodatkowa to jest trudność dla Andrzeja przede wszystkim. Inscenizacja szerokiego planu jest inscenizacją taką totalną. Bardzo prosto jest zinscenizować obiektywem 100 mm czy 180, bo się fotografuje oko, rękę, coś tam jeszcze, kieszeń, szklankę, dymek. To jest proste i z tego się buduje jakieś nastroje. Fotografowanie szerokim obiektywem wymaga nagromadzenia na planie wszystkich elementów ważnych, a wyeliminowanie nieważnych, dlatego że szeroki obiektyw powoduje to, że wszystko zaczyna być ważne. W związku z tym i aktor, i gdzieś tam 4 książki z tyłu zaczynają być ważne. Dymiący kubek, który jest z tyłu, zaczyna się ruszać para i to zaczyna być ważne. W związku z tym inscenizacja takiego obrazu wymaga i od reżysera, i od operatora niezwykłej uwagi. I komponowanie wbrew pozorom takiego szerokiego planu jest o wiele trudniejsze. To było i trudne, i łatwe. Ja byłem przygotowany technicznie i treningowo do tego, żeby robić kamerę z ręki. Trzeba zdać sobie tylko sprawę z tego, że nasza kamera, nasza Żuławskiego i moja kamera z ręki, to jest kamera, która opowiada, a nie opowiada historię, a nie opowiada o robieniu filmu. Zasadnicza różnica między tym, co robią w tej chwili młodzi ludzie, a tym, co myśmy chcieli zrobić, polega na tym, że kamera nie może się trzęść, nie może się ruszać i nie może pokazywać: oto jestem, tu jest ta kamera, w związku z tym trzęsiemy nią, bo opowiadając człowiek się nie trzęsie, jeśli patrzymy, to się nie trzęsiemy. W dodatku kamera, która rusza się w sposób nieuzasadniony jak gdyby, opowiada o robieniu filmu, a film jest nie o robieniu filmu, tylko film jest o pewnej historii, więc kamera ma opowiadać historię. Ta kamera, która tam była kamerą taką, czasami ją nazywamy mądrą kamerą, to znaczy taką kamerą, która widzi z najlepszego punktu widzenia właśnie teraz.
Several German actors were cast in supporting roles, including Heinz Bennent as Heinrich, Margie Cartensen as Margie, and Bernhard Wicki as Abe, Anna's first husband.
One day, I was in Paris. I always seem to be in Paris, and I was actually teaching and living in Paris, so I was there. And Andrzej called and said, can you come to Berlin? I don't know what I was doing. I didn't want to go to Berlin. I was having fun. And they said, no, you must come because we have to do some work on the script now. We have to do something. We have to rewrite some stuff. And what we had to do was rewrite, we had to write that character, the whole character, out of the script. But we did that. We sat down, we went to the hotel, we stayed there, and we wrote the guy out of the script, unfortunately for him.
At least me, I don't necessarily write a film as a film. I write it like something. And then it becomes a film. It becomes a film up to the last moment. It becomes a film when you pick this actor and not that actor. It becomes another film. Not an other film, but it asks for some sort of work on it. Usually, basically, the work is trimming. Is cutting the branches and leaving the trunk and the main lines of the foliage, etc. So during this act of cutting the very many little branches, I still this Abe character, the husband, was left in it. It seemed to me up to even during the shooting that it explains a lot about her. Why was she with an older man, a writer, a Jew in Berlin? What was it? And then after shooting one day with the German actor who was supposed to be Abe, I understood that, first of all, he's not Abe. So it was my mistake in casting. And secondly, again, it's a happy coincidence because he doesn't serve the clarity of the film. He, how do you say in English, obfuscates it. He just, renders it murky. And it's useless. This surrealistic, clean quality I wanted for the film asked for much cutting during the writing, during the shooting, and during even the talking to the actors.
I think it helped the film. I think it took away a certain burden of the film, a certain kind of heaviness that would have been there otherwise. I don't know if it was necessary. It might have been necessary in Andrzej's mind when we were writing it, but then probably what happened on set was he saw that there was something cumbersome about it. It was going to weigh it down in a way that wasn't, it might have been interesting autobiographically, but it wasn't interesting aesthetically. So we were there and we actually had to sit there and see how we can weld it so that it didn't seem, disjointed. So I spent, I guess, about a week or 7 or 8 days there with him working while he was shooting.
All that remains of Abe's character is his young wife, Sarah, who can be glimpsed at the end of Possession. Abe, the elderly Jewish writer, would no doubt have likened the battle on the staircase of Heidenstrasse to Jacob's ladder in the Old Testament.
Shoot.
If Żuławski adopted the mask of the science fiction genre for the Silver Globe, in Possession he would use the mask of the horror film.
This form, with its traditions, which go very profoundly in our psyche, the Brothers Grimm used it, and all the horror stories we read and we listen to in every possible civilization from every possible time. I think that maybe the first tale told was a horror story because people were afraid of the dark.
When the eminent Polish film critic Bogusław Michalek read the script of Possession, he urged Żuławski not to show the monster, advice the director did not heed.
I realized only after doing this film that there's a disparity between what you write on the page and what you see on the screen. And so I didn't know there was going to be a physical presence of a monster. I always assumed that it was something that you'd see when there's a shot when he says, "What is that?" The detective, the first detective, I think, goes up there to see, and he said, "What is that?" And then something is a kind of bathroom, and it's a sort of curtain. And I think you see kind of an eye. But I thought that that's it. You would see the eye, and then you have to imagine the rest of it. But I didn't know that Andrzej really had in mind, and I don't know if he always had in mind, the physical presence of the monster. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of it until I was in Berlin, when we had to do a rewrite, as on set, in fact, while the film was being shot. We had to do a rewrite, and then Marie-Laure said to me, "You want to come with me to the airport?" I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "We're going to get the monster today." I said, "What monster?" She said, "Don't you know Grimaldi made the monster?" I never knew this.
La créature, c'était pas simple, car Andrzej savait ce qu'il voulait parce qu'il m'avait montré des photos qu'il avait découpées dans des journaux, etc., montrant un petit peu ce que c'était qu'une créature, enfin mélanger de photos de golems, de statues de golems venant de Prague, etc. Bon. Il avait toute une documentation et nous nous sommes retrouvés à New York à un moment et nous avons vu Alien. Et en voyant le premier Alien. Et immédiatement, il m'a dit, mais c'est la personne qu'il nous faut pour le monstre. Et évidemment, nous avons tout de suite pris contact avec Geiger à Zurich. Et Geiger nous a dit qu'il était déjà pris sur 2 autres films et qu'il ne pouvait pas se consacrer à nous. Mais en revanche, il fallait que nous contactions, comme nous étions à New York, directement Carlo Rambaldi, qui était un Italien que Dino De Laurentiis avait, quelques années avant, quand Dino avait quitté l'Italie et s'était installé à Hollywood, avait amené avec lui. Et donc lui avait fait faire le White Buffalo, lui avait fait faire en 77 King Kong. Et à ce moment-là, et voilà. Et donc nous sommes partis pour Los Angeles, rencontrer, grâce à Geiger, qui avait tout organisé, téléphone et tout, nous avons pu rencontrer Carlo Rambaldi. Alors nous avons été très étonnés quand nous sommes arrivés dans les studios de Carlo, car c'était très étonnant étant donné qu'il y avait énormément de machines infernales, de latex, de choses très, très simples au fond, et s'il n'y avait pas eu tous les éclairages, on se serait dit mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ce morceau de caoutchouc, vous voyez. Il était en train de travailler à l'époque pour Oliver Stone, qui allait tourner le film qui se passe à New York qui s'appelle The Hand. Je ne sais pas si vous l'avez vu, mais ça n'a pas été un grand film. Et cette année-là, alors il a mis 3-4 jours avant de nous répondre, nous donner sa réponse. Mais il a lu le script, il a beaucoup parlé avec Andrzej, et au bout de 4 jours, nous a dit oui. Et à partir de ce moment-là, a commencé une chose complètement surréaliste, parce que nous sommes rentrés en Europe, et régulièrement, il fallait que j'aille, ou Andrzej, voir l'état d'avancement de la bête, des bêtes, parce qu'il y en avait plusieurs. Et quand nous sommes arrivés au tournage, donc il y avait des envois d'échantillons, des envois de dessins, de maquettes, etc. Et quand nous sommes arrivés à Berlin pour la préparation, et que la bête a dû devenir effective et être là pour le tournage, je crois que je me souviendrai toute ma vie le jour où nous sommes allés chercher Carlo Rambaldi à l'aéroport de Tegel à Berlin, où il est arrivé avec 5 ou 6 coffins en bois de la taille des monstres. Et j'étais avec l'executive producer, Jean-José Richet, et les douaniers, évidemment, étaient très intrigués de voir ce que nous venions chercher. Heureusement, nous avions une lettre de nos coproducteurs, entre guillemets, du Sénat de Berlin, qui avait dit qu'il fallait qu'on accepte tout ce que l'on demandait. Et donc Carlo est arrivé avec ses 5 coffins, et à ce moment-là, il y a quand même deux douaniers qui ont voulu voir ce que c'était. Et tout d'un coup, il y a eu l'ouverture des couvercles des coffins, et on a vu ces espèces de tentacules, de morceaux de caoutchouc. Moi, je dois dire que j'étais un petit peu affolée, parce que bon, j'avais vu les dessins, j'avais vu toute l'élaboration, parce que j'avais été quand même plusieurs fois à Los Angeles, y compris 15 jours avant, et de voir ces choses comment dirais-je, de plastique, de matière bizarre dans ces boîtes, c'était absolument surréaliste. Et puis les douaniers ont fait des têtes pas possibles et ont vite refermé en se disant mais ces gens sont fous, ils ont dû penser ça. Bon, ils nous ont fait un sourire, mais ils étaient quand même un petit peu intrigués. Bon, et puis alors là a commencé quelques jours après, 5-6 jours après, a commencé le tournage avec... et là, c'était beaucoup de travail parce que nous étions un film quand même avec un budget réduit, et que quand vous tournez avec des effets spéciaux comme ils étaient faits à l'époque, je ne parle pas maintenant, il faut beaucoup de temps pour mettre au point toutes ces choses, les éclairages, la mise au point des machines, de toutes ces machines infernales. Et je dois dire que Carlo a été formidable et Andrzej a été d'une grande patience parce qu'il savait que nous avions un budget quand même qui était réduit et que on ne pouvait pas faire. En principe, on aurait dû faire un plan toutes les 3 semaines, vous voyez. Et en fait, il fallait que nous fassions le plan de travail exactement sans dépassement. Bon, et Andrzej a respecté absolument le plan de travail. Et Carlo Rambaldi aussi.
She loves something that she created. She loves something that she has... who loves her in the strangest, aberrant way, but loves her in the way she wants to be loved. And I think that as a metaphor is so interesting, that our loneliness can create something that nurtures our love. And I think that's what I had hoped for anyway. I had hoped to see that. I had hoped, wanted that. That somehow in our most despairing, abject, pained loneliness, somewhere, somehow, is a creation of something that comforts us. And I think that was part of what I understood about making that film.
The most notorious scene in Possession is the one in which Isabelle Adjani miscarries something in the U-Bahn. According to Adjani, Żuławski instructed her to fuck the air.
And it was one time, I think, in my lifetime, I said almost nothing. Usually you explain, you talk. How can you explain something which you cannot explain yourself? Impossible, dishonest. So, and how can you explain that out of the outrage of life, out of the difficulty of living, out of the frustrations of living, instead of blah, blah, blahing about it, which she does in the film. There's a short film made by her lover, Heinrich, and she talks about it.
It's like those two sisters of faith and chance. Well, my faith can't exclude chance, but chance, well, it's like those two sisters of faith and chance. My faith can't exclude chance, but my chance can explain faith. My faith didn't allow me to wait for chance, and chance didn't give me enough faith.
But instead of talking, she does something in the subway. So she evacuates this evil, this like you can evacuate, shit or menstruation blood or whatever. She evacuates something she doesn't even know she has in herself. But once evacuated, be it a word, be it the words of Marx or Lenin or whatever, it becomes flesh and blood. And it starts its own independent life, and it kills, usually, not Marx, but it killed the guys of the French Revolution, of the Russian Revolution, the people who transformed blah blah into things, into physical reality. I dare you to give a coherent explanation of the thing, but I dare myself to give a coherent explanation of evil.
Both The Devil and The Silver Globe touched upon the role of acting in culture.
But the work, in order to induce them into states of mind, the physical states in which they surpass themselves, is a fascinating thing, because then it opens up to anything: religion, mysticism, physical reality. It gives some clues, very dark clues about who the hell are we. But because we don't know. If we would never make even this film.
The character of Heinrich, portrayed by Heinz Bennett, could be considered a riposte of the Polish counterculture of the 1970s.
Remember, it was 1980 in Europe, and the whole spectrum of intellectual up-to-datism was at that time a mixture, a total mixture. It is up to today. It will always be, I guess, mixture of leftism, not yet New Ageism, but coming, flower children, terrorism, which I used in another film. He is the stupidest thing in the film, but which doesn't mean he's unintelligent. On the contrary, he's bright. But brightness is a strange street you can take in order to harm and destroy and seize power, which he tries to do with Anna.
Possession premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in May 1981. There was a strong Polish presence. During the previous year, the free trade union Solidarity had come into being. Possession was entered into the competition along with Andrzej Wajda's Man of Iron, which was about the events that had taken place at the Gdansk shipyard.
Le matin, c'était à 8h30, c'était la projection de la presse. Et évidemment, nous étions tous très nerveux. Il y avait des remous dans la salle. Et les avis étaient... personne n'était insensible, en fait. Alors, il y avait de bonnes réactions et des réactions totalement mauvaises. Mais il n'y avait pas au milieu, vous voyez, de gens tièdes par rapport. Et je pense qu'Andrzej, on n'a pas de réaction tiède vis-à-vis de ce qu'il fait. Et donc, très vite, il y a eu une espèce de rumeur qui s'est installée pendant la journée en disant que c'était un film scandaleux, que ça faisait penser à La Grande Bouffe qui avait été présentée à Cannes quelques années avant, qu'il y avait une rumeur de scandale autour du film, ce qui n'était pas pour nous déplaire. En même temps, c'est quand même toujours inquiétant, angoissant. Et le soir, quand nous avons eu la projection, nous étions tous très nerveux. Très nerveux. Puis la projection a eu lieu, la grande projection a eu lieu, et je dois dire qu'il y a eu des sifflets, mais il y a eu énormément d'applaudissements et une belle ovation.
When the Cannes jury came to selecting a winner, they settled not on Żuławski's Possession, but Wajda's Man of Iron.
It was a very Polish festival in which a very Polish film and a very straightforwardly, almost, political film won. Today, we may say that it probably never won because of the artistic qualities of the film. It won because it was important that this film about solidarity, about what was going on, about the explosion slowly occurring in the eastern parts of Europe, slowly, will finally win, and they ask for support. It was important that Wajda's film won. Adjani got the prize for actress, which is okay with me. I know that 40 years later, almost, I'd rather see Possession than the Man of whatever that was, Iron that time. Yeah.
Possession was released in the summer of 1981 to a lukewarm response from both audiences and critics alike.
I think they never got my mask and my keys to unravel the thing were too political and Eastern Europe. And the French thinking is intellectual thinking, is rather on the left all the time. And at that moment, the left and Possession didn't click for them, which is a pity. I don't think they really understood what the hell is it about.
While Possession may not have made an impact at the box office, thanks to home video, it developed a reputation as a cult film during the 1980s.
Je suis très contente de tout ce qui se passe, et je suis très contente que les choses bougent, en fait, parce que bon, il y a le DVD qui est sorti en France le 5 mai, il y a un DVD qui va donc sortir en Allemagne pour les 20 ans de la chute du mur de Berlin, et je trouve que le distributeur allemand a très bien fait son travail. De joindre la sortie du DVD avec les 20 ans de la chute du mur de Berlin, ça, je trouve ça très bien. Et puis je trouve que je suis très curieuse de voir que tous les jeunes, parce que j'ai beaucoup de jeunes autour de moi, aiment ce film, aiment vraiment beaucoup ce film, et pour eux c'est un film culte. Alors je trouve ça très valorisant, je trouve ça très bien.
No, I think it's a profoundly beautiful film, and it stayed ever so. And I think that for a new audience, for people who don't know the work, have not seen this before, they're going to be kind of amazed, kind of shocked, and very surprised and very happy.
To, co robi Żuławski, nie jest na dzisiaj. Film na Srebrnym Globie gdyby się ukazał w tym czasie, kiedy myśmy go zrobili, byłby filmem wyjątkowym, byłby rewelacją na skalę światową, dlatego że ten sposób myślenia nie istniał jeszcze. Każdy film Żuławskiego jest tak głęboko oryginalny, bo jest jego takim bardzo przemyślanym myśleniem, jego przemyślaną ideą i jego bardzo, bardzo osobistą rzeczą, nawet jeśli to jest tak jak reportaż de scenariusz na podstawie powieści, że to musi istnieć. To nie jest nowinka, która za tydzień przestaje być interesująca, bo te filmy mają kilka warstw. To nie jest przecież horror. To jest film, który ma elementy horroru, ale to jest film o polityce, o miłości, o seksie, o samotności, nawet o wychowaniu dziecka, można powiedzieć. Jest tam bardzo wiele elementów. Także te filmy nie są płaskie, to nie jest opowiadana historyjka. To jest historia opowiadana w jakimś celu. To jest historia, która nie jest jednoznaczna, to jest historia, która może człowiekowi myślącemu dać pretekst do tego, żeby myśleć i przeżywać różne bardzo ważkie dla człowieka problemy. Ale to jest dla ludzi myślących. To nie jest dla oglądaczy rozrywka raz. To nie jest, co mamy dzisiaj w programie telewizyjnym. Aha.
I was struck by how fresh it is. It's 30 years. It's hard to imagine that it's 30 years have passed since we did that. And how utterly fresh it seems. I'm kind of amazed by it. It's strange how it works out that way. It's strange because I have a suspicion that certain emotions are so archetypical and so profound in our natures and resident in our natures that they stay with us, deeply stay with us. And I think that's what happened in this film. I'm amazed by the energy of it, the ferocity of it. I still think, my God, all these years and it hasn't staled?
Cinema goes by waves. Most of the waves have masks. When Billy Wilder was making his Hollywoodian comedies, he was banging against censorship, sexual censorship, the Hays Code. And with each film, he had the impression of cracking a bit. When he made The Apartment, which today seems it's a TV, simple story, a guy loans his apartment to people wanting to fuck secretaries in it. It almost got stopped by American censorship. Almost. It was this thin. So the waves coming and going away, floating away, leaving in the sand some masterpieces, some good things, but always dated. They are one side of the history of cinema. The other side of the history of cinema is this improbable films, which belong to no wave at all, which the films use masks according to their timing in the 80s for possession, which means the mask of horror film, the mask of psychodrama, etc. But they belonging to no wave and having crushed against some sort of censorship at that time, they live longer. And sometimes they live, if cinema will live forever, they will live forever, and the others will forget. And it's not the case of Possession particularly. There are other films. There are a lot of fantastically beautiful films which seem strangely not aging. And when you start to be fed up, or simply fed, with cinema as it goes, with waves after waves, bizarrely you refer yourself. You take your thrills. You are aroused by these films, and a film like that can arouse your interest. You can have your heart, feel your heart pounding faster, and you feel this rush of blood, and these films are alive still, and will, I hope, always. Many directors I can talk about. This is films which are simply good, and there is hope in the fact that they stay more than others. Not hope only for me. I can tell whatever I'm telling you because I'm old now, so I can see it in a perspective, I guess. I'm not so eager to make another film so it's a good point of view on this beach with these little stones which stayed in the sand.